Lord Krishna explains to Arjun that we are dominated by three gunas: Satvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. In fact, these three gunas they rule our life. Lord also said that this is the prime knowledge. This is the basic understanding which we must have about life. Because when Satgun rules, we find that things are calm, we find that our mind thinks of only positive things. But when Rajagun rules, then we are having a lot of desires, lot of action, we are motivated by that. And Tamogun makes us lethargic and we enter into futile things. We do such actions which don't bring about any result. In the Shlok 1, Lord Almighty said, "Now I shall explain to you the prime wisdom or knowledge that has enabled the sages to attain prime siddhi. The people who acquire the wisdom and assimilate the same realize me and are not subjected to cycle of life and rebirth, and they do not get nervous about the doomsday. Arjun, nature is my creation and is known as Brahma, form. Nature is the mother of all living beings, and I am the father or responsible for their birth. My union with nature brings about the birth of all living beings. Arjun, all living beings appear to be born out of innumerable mothers from their wombs, but in fact, they are all my creation. Nature is the mother, and I alone the father of living creatures. Arjun, Satgun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, these three types of attributes of nature keep the entire Atman bound in this mortal body. Nishpap Arjun, among these three guns, Satgun being pure enlightens and is without any defect. Satgun breeds joy and wisdom and is associated accordingly. However, the Rajogun is born of desire and attachment. Rajogun binds the Atman with actions and the results thereof. But Arjun, Tamogun is mode of ignorance. It degrades the human being and is born out of lack of knowledge. Tamogun binds the soul with lethargy and tendency to carry out pointless jobs. Arjun, Satgun brings peace and joy. Rajogun is responsible for karma and action, and Tamogun eliminates wisdom and engages the mind in futile tasks. Satgun spreads by overpowering or curbing Rajogun and Tamogun. Rajogun grows by suppressing Satgun and Tamogun, and likewise Tamogun spreads by suppressing Rajogun and Satgun. When Satgun grows by suppressing the other two, it brings greater understanding, consciousness, and reasoning. It is indicative of growth of knowledge and wisdom. And Arjun, the growth of Rajogun is indicated by greed, selfish thoughts, and taking actions with personal ends in view. Rajogun also promotes the growth of desires and hankering after worldly pleasures. But when Tamogun spreads, one finds growth of darkness in the senses and the mind, and the lack of desire to do one's duty, and is down with procrastination, useless efforts, lethargy, and excessive sleep. Such debasing factors increase and develop under the influence of Tamogun. If a person dies when Satvagun is on the rise, he achieves superior abodes where purity and goodness prevails. Here he enjoys heavenly pleasures. And if a person breathes his last when Rajogun, mode of passion, is prevailing, he takes birth among people who are more attached to action, like in this human world. But if he dies under the Tamogun, mode of ignorance, when that is on the rise, the person is condemned to the lowly and ignorant life of worms, animals, etc. The result of sattvic action is joy, wisdom, and non-attachment. The result of rajas action is sorrow, and that of tamas is degradation. Satvagun breeds wisdom, Rajogun undoubtedly breeds greed, Tamogun breeds futile actions or lack of action at all. The persons who remain in the fold of Satvagun attain better worlds like heaven. Those remaining in Rajogun remain in the human world, and those practicing lethargy, excessive sleep, and futile actions representing Tamogun are condemned to the lowly life of worms, animals, and the like. And they also reach hell. The moment a human being does not recognize himself as the doer of action, but believes that any action is born out of interaction of gunas, further, once he realizes that the Lord, the Almighty, beyond the bonds of these gunas, he achieves my status. Such a person transcends the effects of these gunas and becomes free from the perils of birth, death, and old age. He attains salvation. Arjuna asked, what should a man do to transcend and rise above the effects of these three gunas? And what should the quality of his actions be? The Lord Almighty said, Arjun, the person who neither grudges nor desires the natural results of the gunas and remains as a witness without getting involved or affected is able to maintain his calm, continence, and is never disturbed. Such a person understands that actions are the result of interaction of the three gunas. He is thus in a position to maintain stability of his mind. He understands the presence of the Almighty in all places at all times. He has no reason to feel sad or get bewildered by anything. The person who is constantly satisfied and realizes the presence of the Almighty soul, above all, he treats joy, sorrow alike. For him, dust, stone, or even gold do not make any difference. He remains steadfast while he is appreciated or criticized. Whether he is loved or hated, such a person behaves uniformly with his friend or with his enemy. He who has no ego of himself, being the doer of any action, is considered gunatit, transcending the effects of the actions. And the person who remembers me with understanding that I am the Lord Almighty alone and is responsible for be all and end all of everything, he considers me worthy of absolute devotion because I am the abode of that eternal peace. I am the pure nectar. He carries out his daily duty to the best of his ability without attachment to the result. He achieves ultimate happiness that results from the stability of mind. This is how Lord Krishna explained to Arjun the interaction of three gunas and the result thereof. He said that we are all here and we should witness our actions. We should not be involved. We should be totally detached from actions. And that's the best way to have salvation.